So this is the sophomore follow-up from writer-director Celine Song. She previously did Past Lives with A24. That was a big indie hit, nominated for a couple of Oscars. Everyone loves that film. That was also in that top 100 list that we just talked about. Materialist stars Dakota Johnson as Lucy. She is a matchmaker living in New York. She matches people up, and she's very kind of jaded and cynical about relationships. She says, it's just math. I'm like an insurance adjuster. I'm looking at the stats. I'm looking at height, weight, lifestyle, upbringing, education, salary, ambition, work. And she's just trying to line up the numbers. And, if someone wants a 6'2" man that makes low seven figures, she's going to find him for it. And so this is kind of how she's reduced relationships to. It's business, it's stats. She goes to a wedding of one of her many clients who she has managed to get to the point from dating to engagement to marriage. Big win for her. And she meets the lovely Harry, played by Pedro Pascal, who's dashingly handsome, somehow single, and exquisitely rich. He's charming, and she says, you would be a perfect candidate. And he says, I don't want to matchmake. I want to matchmake with you, and we should go out. We should go on a date and get to know each other. Initially, she says, no, I'm broke compared to you. You don't want to see me. At the same exact wedding, we meet Chris Evans, John, who is working the wedding. He is part of the catering staff. She is Dakota Johnson's ex. They dated before they were in love. They lived together, but a lot because of financial anxiety and difficulty. It didn't work out. John is a struggling actor. He still lives with several roommates. He's financially not super stable, and she just couldn't deal with it, and they broke up. But they run into each other at the wedding and kind of rekindle a little bit. So it's a little bit of it's a love triangle, a little bit of a rom-com. We'll talk about that a little bit more. That's our setup. Zach, what do you think?
So I like Materialists, but I think I was kind of expecting to like Materialists. Honestly, the shape of this movie is a traditional rom-com. Who's she gonna pick, right? Rich, wealthy man, broke loser. Like, you got one or the other, right? She can go either way. And I knew it was coming from Celine Song, who just did Past Lives. So I thought this was gonna be something in the shape of a rom-com but with deeper emotional swings, right? Higher highs and lower lows that speak to you on a level that is so much larger than just a simple dating movie. And I'm very satisfied with what I got. That's exactly what this movie is doing. And it was great. And it turns out a lot of the people that I know that went and saw it didn't think it was going to be that. They thought it was going to be like a traditional summer rom-com. This movie is counter-programming. And that's what A24 put out. But the problem is, A24 didn't sell it like counter-programming. They kind of sold it like a traditional rom-com, and it turns out a lot of audiences are disappointed. I like Materialists, and I'm looking forward to talking about the things I do like in it and the things that don't work, and then the reasons why people aren't into it. What did you think, Andy?
So I liked it as well, and I think because I knew that A is from A24 and it's from Celine Song, and if you've seen Past Lives, you know that that's an exploration about the complexities of relationships and time and memory and all these things. And so I knew that Materialist would be a kind of more complex film, but it was definitely sold as a traditional anything but you, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days kind of rom-com. I don't know them well enough. Sweet Home Alabama is what a lot of people have compared this to. And usually in this kind of rom-com, you would get, you got the rich guy option, the broke guy option, and that you have tons of fun and fancy dinners and getaways with the rich guy, but then you have down home, like street fun. You go to bars and whatever, baseball games, eat hot dogs with the kind of more working class guy. And then at the end, she usually traditionally like the rich guy's always evil. I've reminded of things like Titanic with Billy Zane's character, or Moulin Rouge, where you have these like mustache twirling bad guys who of course she's not gonna pick. So this movie is not that at all. It's an exploration on modern day relationships and how they've kind of been cheapened and reduced to stats and business. And that is what Celine Song's whole thesis is that modern relationships have lost kind of that ancient caveman-esque desire to just like be in love with someone and have connection. And a lot of people are missing the forest for the trees, in my opinion, because that is what it's about. It's not about broke boy propaganda, which a lot of people are calling it. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
a rom com made by a man is what I heard, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like, hold on a second. Yeah, like Celine Song is not a man. Easy. Like, yeah, like Past Lives does not necessarily have the most glowing, happy ending, but Past Lives is about change and it's about growth and it's about like how you can have these different sections of your life where you become a different person and how that's okay and learning to accept yourself through that. This has a bit of that DNA strung through it. Yeah, Lucy has a little bit of history with John. They kind of know each other. And so meeting this new guy who has it all and is a unicorn, or she says, who's just so perfect, in Pedro Pascal, Harry, versus like her old flame who like kind of was a swing and a miss. Like it seems kind of obvious, I think, to a lot of audience members that like, well, Harry represents something new and exciting and moving in a direction that Lucy wants to go. Like Lucy is in a pretty nice apartment, even though she doesn't make that much money, in a line that I think has been overanalyzed by the internet. She says she makes like $80,000 a year.
Forest for the trees.
Yes, like she dresses nice. She has a great haircut. She seems to work at a great job in a big office downtown, right? Everything seems to be working out for Lucy. This is the direction she wants to move in. And Harry just has it all. I mean, he's the perfect height. He's the perfect weight. He makes a ton of money. He's got stock options. Like he is everything that you would want. He's almost too perfect, which is where a lot of the conflict comes from. In these really long conversation scenes that are almost all one take, that are very charming. Give our actors a ton of space to breathe and work the dialogue. Like lots of big, long one take sequences in here. You got to keep an eye out for them. She tells Harry that, hey, the math doesn't add up. You and I are not compatible, okay? Because you're too perfect and I'm never going to be on your level. And like that is where the start of our conflict comes from. And then when John swings in from her past and is like, hey, how you doing? Didn't expect to see you here. Total like accidental reverse meet cute. I don't know what that is. Then she has to reckon with like this idea that she is like unconditionally attracted to this guy, like just wants to be in the same room as him. She treats him different than everybody else. Like she sees something in him that she doesn't see anywhere else. And like trying to reason with like this feeling of love over the features of an attractive partner is what the movie is about. Like, and why we're all so vain and why we reduce each other to just this like series of statistics that we're willing to swipe left or right on. How much money you make, how tall you are, how worthy you are, how valid you are, whether or not you're deserving of love. And it's complicated, but I liked it. I had a great time watching it. And that's not because I'm that like, God, it's not because I'm the broke boy. Like, that's what I feel like. People are like, oh, you liked it and you're a man? Well, you're probably broke. Like, whoa, hold on. Like, what? Nobody's saying that.
So it's a little bit undermined because I do love, again, the central thesis that we've reduced relationships to stats in business and we've lost like the ability to have like genuine human connection. This would work better if what I'm calling the bracket were closer. And what I mean by that, if you didn't have mega wealthy Pedro Pascal, who's great and not like a mustache twirling villain, and broke Chris Evans, and said you got to bring them closer together. You could make like maybe a guy who is middle class versus a guy who's upper middle class, or maybe lower upper class, something like that, where the money isn't so different, and it is where it is more about like the person and who you really connect with and in love. Kind of Pedro Pascal being obscenely wealthy, like I said, it kind of undermines it in this in what she's trying to say. So I think that doesn't help. Like make them both wealthy, something like that, or just to where it's not so, because you're basically asking someone like, would you choose a Cinderella story or abject poverty? And it's like, well, that's not really a hard decision.
Right.
I think let's talk performances. A lot of people, I liked everyone. I thought everyone's great. Pedro Pascal is so charming. He can do no wrong.
Dude.
Not in this enough. No one's in this enough because it's Dakota Johnson's story and her journey. It's like I said, it's not really a traditional rom-com. Chris Evans is good as the incredibly charming, kind of misstepping actor and ex. Dakota Johnson is fine. I think she's fun. A lot of people don't like her and don't think she can act. I don't think that. I think she's great in this. I think she's great in things like Suspiria. What did you think of the performances?
I thought they were great. Yeah, Dakota Johnson gives one of my favorite monologues probably ever in her career in this movie, in a sequence when she's addressing a lot of these like potential datees, a series of women in a cafe, and she finally like she's getting more and more frazzled over the course of the movie and starting to become unglued as she's trying to reckon with like her job being a matchmaker and like her reality at home, her love life, where she's like struggling between these two guys. And she gives this wonderful monologue that's like full of like sass and sarcasm straight down the camera. Like she's looking right at the lens. It's great. I love this B plot that Dakota Johnson's character has with this character named Sophie. She's trying to line her up with one of like 11 different guys at the beginning of the movie. Every guy she's tried to line her up with hasn't worked out. Sophie's played by Zoe Winters, who you may know from HBO's Succession. She's in a few episodes of that. And she's wonderful and really funny. And I liked her in this movie. She's got a whole arc on the side of the movie, on the side that we shouldn't get into because that's spoiler territory we don't want to talk about. But I loved Pedro Pascal in this movie. He just floats in and out of every scene, man. He's like a freaking angel. It's great. And meanwhile, Chris Evans, I think this is one of Chris Evans' better performances in a while, but I got to say he's too attractive for what he is in this movie. Like they show the inside of his apartment a couple times. It's all shot handheld, like just super chaos, right? Like everything else in the movie is on a tripod, locked down, but the inside of Chris Evans' horrible rundown apartment is handheld. It's really
Got to
funny.
get some dirt under those
Right.
eyes. Like,
And yeah, and he's like trying to brush his teeth, and his damn roommate's in the other room, and oh my god, what's this? And again, why didn't you set my alarm? Like just chaos in there, and his other roommates are so schlubby. And like it's easy for Dakota Johnson to do a will they won't they between Pedro Pascal and Chris Evans simply because of how good they both look. And it's like if this was any kind of reality, this guy would look like I don't know, awful. He'd look like
Schlub.
Andy and I, right? Yeah, like he would not be freaking Chris
a
Evans,
scrub like us.
living in a crappy apartment. So outside of that, like I don't know. I like the core performances there. I liked everybody in here. I'm bummed that people didn't like Dakota Johnson. Because I've seen performances that I didn't like from Dakota Johnson, and I've seen other performances like Suspiria. They're like transcendental. I can't believe it's her when I rewatch the movie. She's so great. So I think this is one of her better works.
I wanted to talk about one of the subplots, and I'll do this very vaguely. This movie surprisingly gets very serious, touches on some very serious subjects about halfway through, and it kind of caught me by surprise because again it's like a fun rom-com, and that's how it's marketed, and then there's some truly serious stuff that really caught me by surprise. Some people think it's a little unnecessary. I think it could have been handled kind of maybe several different ways, but it does get very serious because one of the kind of themes or subjects is that it's exploring modern dating, what it's like to go on dates in this day and age. It's specifically from a woman's point of view because she is matchmaking primarily women in this job. So
yeah,
that was an interesting point.
Yeah. I've been frustrated at people saying this isn't a rom-com because there's no rom and there's no com. That's not true. There's plenty of romance in this movie. Like there's a couple of really great wedding scenes in here, especially one towards the end where a couple of characters are dancing together slowly and the music kicks in. Great soundtrack, by the way. Really great playlist on Spotify. Go check it out. That's romance, right? Like that's the struggle of romance. Romance isn't always like flowers and cake, obviously. Like there's comedy. There's lots of comedy. I thought this movie was very funny, and I was disappointed people say they didn't laugh once. I'm like, did you get it? Like, what do you mean you didn't laugh? There's a ton of laughs in this movie, but I don't know. Like, I think it's elevated, almost like how people describe elevated horror, right? It's like people were trying to turn out for the summer slasher movie and are disappointed because they got a Jordan Peele film. It's like people thought it was going to be just a traditional, like I can turn my brain off for 90 minutes rom-com. And it's like, oh no, this opens with like a flashback sequence to BC negative 1800 and is like complicated and dense and biting and hurts and has a B plot that is like painful and probably stressful to some audiences. Like I think that all creates something that's like deep and vast and interesting and subversive. Like I wouldn't want Materialists to be just like every other rom-com. I love that it's different. I love that it's got its own fingerprint and its own shape, but I also go see a lot of movies, so I'm a little biased that way, right? I don't want to just get the same old, same old. I'm disappointed to hear that so many people didn't land the same way. They just don't seem to like it.
Yeah, like I said, there's been a ton of discourse. I feel like most people are kind of missing the point. They're missing the forest for the trees. They think it's broke boy propaganda, even though basically every rom com is like that. The,
Yeah.
the logical pick is always some super rich successful guy who turns out to be a jackass in the end, and then she picks the more like blue collar person. It's like every
Yeah.
rom com ever, and that like all of a sudden it's a problem now.
Yeah, I don't know. The point is, I like this movie, and again, I feel like a broke boy saying, "Oh yeah, I like the broke boy propaganda movie." Like I feel cornered by the argument, but you know what? I like Materialists, and I'm looking forward to what Celine Song's doing. We should get to recommendations. Andy, would you recommend Materialists?
Yes, I absolutely would. I thought I had a great time in it. I thought it was fun. It had good performances. It is about more kind of serious things than it looks like on the surface, about what it is like to date in the modern age, how we've kind of lost the ability to just kind of fall in love and have connection because we're so worried about stats, about people. Um, I really liked it. I think it's not quite as good as Past Lives, but I think it's a good sophomore follow up for Celine Song, and I can't wait to see what she does next.
Yeah, I like Materialists. I'm in the same boat. I'm looking forward to what Celine Song does next. I'm disappointed people didn't connect with it. I hope I can watch it. I guess it'll come to HBO, right? Because it's A24 and they got a deal, so that's where it'll show up. I'd love to rewatch it. It's so not for everybody. It is so not for everybody. I can think of a handful of people in my life who like rom coms who will not like this movie and will be bored and will not like the ending. And it's like I like movies that challenge me. That's the kind of stuff I go for. So like if you're into that, like I think you will like Materialist. But if you're looking for something more traditional, maybe not. Yeah, like maybe not. It is a bit more, it leans more into a territory you're not familiar with than the familiar territory. It starts familiar and that starts to go somewhere you don't expect. And I think that's special. I think that's unique, but I understand not everybody's into that. That's so okay, dog. Welcome to the movies. And with that, we should jump into our next segment. We're going to talk about Disney Pixar. What do we call this section, Andy?
It's time for the death of cinema.